live on Wednesday, April 16th. At 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, as Eco America announces the winner and the runner-up, awarding over $200,000 in prize money. To watch live, just go to ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
No more rain in this cloud. No more rain in this cloud. Our sunshine has come. And I'm all right. And there's no more rain in this cloud. No more rain. Sunshine has come. No more rain in this cloud. Let it go. And I'm all right. And there's no more rain in this cloud. There's no.
You are listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai. You were just listening to Angie Stone. And we just shared just last hour a bit about the passing of Angie Stone, who died in a car accident in Alabama, where children are devastated, or families devastated, as you can imagine. But we're remembering her through her music. And we are wishing her well on her ascent with the angels. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. This hour, we're going to be talking to April Reign, the creator of the Oscars So White movement. Y'all remember that? She's also a senior advisor to the Spill app, and she is here to offer us her hot take on this year's Oscars. We are going to analyze it all. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, but always a good time with April Reign. She'll be joining us momentarily. But first things first, it's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. Kicking us off. Are you into crypto? You got like a crypto coin or something like that? If you are into cryptocurrency, then this news that broke just this afternoon might make your ears perk up. Trump has named cryptocurrencies in the strategic reserve, sending prices way up. U.S. President Donald Trump on social media announced the names of 5 digital assets he expects to include in a new U.S. strategic reserve of cryptocurrencies. He announced this just this past Sunday, spiking the market value of each. Trump said in his post on Truth Social that his January executive order on digital assets would create a stockpile of currencies, including Bitcoin, Ether, XRP, Solana, and Cardano. The names had not previously been announced. More than an hour later, Trump added, quotes, and obviously BTC and ETH as other valuable cryptocurrencies will be at the heart of the reserve. Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency by market value, was up more than 11% at $94,164. That was just this past Sunday afternoon. Ether, the second largest cryptocurrency, was up about 13% at $2,516. The total cryptocurrency market has risen about 10%, or more than $300 billion in the hours since Trump's announcement. And so for folks who are into crypto, is it a congratulations? I think it's a congratulations. As long as it holds. I know the stock market, a lot of people are watching it very closely. So we shall see. Maybe we'll bring somebody on in the coming week or so to help us sort of break down, again, the fact from the fiction. We're having to do a lot of that these days. But fact MSNBC's post-Joy Reid era begins with the hiring of Politico's veteran Eugene Daniels, Politico. He has been on this show a number of times, and he is a friend and he is a colleague. And so I want to make sure that it's clear that we are saying congratulations to Eugene Daniels, a White House correspondent for Politico, who's joining MSNBC's full-time. He's joining MSNBC full-time as a host. The Comcast Corp-owned news channel announced just today that Daniels, who's only 36, will join the morning edition of The Weekend, a 3-hour program airing Saturdays and Sundays. He'll be joined by Washington Post journalist Jonathan Capehart and another co-host to be named soon. The current hosts of The Weekend, Michael Steele, Alicia Menendez, and Simone Sanders Townsend, they're moving to 7 p.m. 7 p.m. Eastern weekdays to the time period that's been now vacated by Joy Reid. Their new program will begin in late April. Eugene Daniels will also be senior Washington correspondent for MSNBC, which is building its own news operation after being part of NBC News since it launched in 1996. He is the first outside hire under MSNBC president Rebecca Cutler, who's leading the news network as it becomes a part of a new company spun off from Comcast. Daniels has been at MSNBC as a contributor since 2021, appearing regularly on Morning Joe. He will leave Politico to take on his new role. And, transitions can be challenging. And so I think, it's clear to me, and I said this in my Substack post on Friday, my Amor Per Union, which I will be doing weekly. I said in that recap that anchor chairs are highly coveted, and they belong to none of us, right? When we step to this microphone, when we sit in these chairs, they don't belong to us, right? And so you never know what's going to happen. You never know, when the powers that be may want to move in a different direction. And so it's on you to make every day count. And certainly Joy Reid did that in spades. There's been a very challenging history of Black folks in anchor chairs. And so when you see Black folks that have made it to an anchor chair, I don't know about you, but I'm rooting for people. I'm rooting for folks to do well with that responsibility. And Jonathan Capehart has certainly demonstrated that in his anchor chair at MSNBC. And I wish the same for Eugene Daniels. I wish the same for, Simone Sanders and Michael Steele and everyone, because, we need as many folks in the arena separating the fact from the fiction as possible. We need as many people that are doing that are also in community and operating out of the tradition of the Black press. And so in that spirit, I wish each and every one of them well. And I also wish Joy Reid well, because Joy Reid is, she is extraordinary. She's in a league of her own. She's really extraordinary. And I can't wait to see what she does next. I can't wait to see Joy and wish her well face to face. And so until then, we are just going to send good vibes to everybody. Good vibes to everyone. Moving along, we know that, maybe you didn't know, that Usher is going to be delivering the commencement address at Emory to the class of 2025. How cool is that? That's got to be one of the coolest commencement addresses to come this spring. There doesn't seem to be much that Usher Raymond, better known to the world simply as Usher. There's nothing that he can't do. He can sing, he can dance, he can sing and dance while roller skating. Hello. He acts, he sells out Las Vegas residencies, and he also does a lot of philanthropic work. The Grill reporting that he also does graduation commencement addresses. Usher has been tapped by a university in his own backyard. On May 12th, Usher will deliver an address at Emory University's 180th graduation ceremony and will be conferred with an honorary doctorate of humane letters from the institution. This isn't Usher's first rodeo with an honorary doctorate. In 2023, you might remember the Berklee School of Music in Boston conferred the international superstar with the accolade. He also gave remarks at the time. And Usher's also no stranger to Emory University. His nonprofit, Usher's New Look, which according to the website transforms the lives of under-resourced youth through comprehensive programs that develop their passion. He's partnered with Emory University's business school for a 400-hour program helping prepare teens for college. The nonprofit has reportedly impacted, get this, y'all, over 50,000 students. Go, Usher, go. And so congratulations to Usher on a well-deserved invitation to deliver a commencement address, somebody who is a leader in industry, but also deeply immersed in creating opportunity in community. We love to see it. Speaking of creating opportunity in community, when we come forward, I'm looking forward to being in conversation with April Rain. She's the creator of the Oscar So White movement. She's also a senior advisor to the Spill app. And I'm sure she has a lot to say about yesterday's Oscar awards. More with April Rain when we come forward. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. Who cares about the Black community in Altadena? We do. On Saturday, March 8th at 10 a.m., it's the premiere of Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr. This new weekly show will explore the deep roots and resilience of Altadena's Black community as we track its recovery and reimagine its future. From relief efforts to rebuilding, we're raising up voices, stories, and solutions to build back Black Altadena better and stronger than ever. It's Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr every Saturday at 10 a.m. beginning Saturday, March 8th with an encore presentation Sundays at noon.
James Farr, the man who is the voice for Black Los Angeles.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
The following is not a contest and is a paid advertisement by Family Vacation Getaways. Airfare not included. See FVGradio.com for complete details. If you want a 100% complimentary stay at a luxury resort in Cancun, airfare not included, then Family Vacation Getaways is your ticket to paradise. See website for complete details. We're giving away 5 days and 4 nights to the first 50 callers who can name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. An animal that lays eggs and is not a bird. Do you know it? Call now, 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431. You're also eligible for an exciting bonus vacation to Orlando, Florida for just $498. And don't worry about anything ruining your plans. We can extend your travel up to 18 months. Name an animal that lays eggs and is not a bird and get your complimentary Cancun resort stay and an optional bonus vacation to Orlando for just $498. What are you waiting for? Call 800-868-6431, 800-868-6431, and give us your answer. Proceeding is not sponsored by this station or its affiliates.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has WorkSource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai and delighted to welcome back to the show my friend, our friend, April Rain. She is the creator of the Oscars So White movement. She's also senior advisor to the Spill app, among so many other things. Welcome to the show, April.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Well, thank you so much for being here, especially on the heels of a piece that's gone viral, a Rolling Stone piece that's gone viral. The title reads, "A Decade After Oscars So White, Can Hollywood Do Better?" And for folks who are less familiar with your story, Rolling Stone writes that at one time, the Oscars were April Rain's Super Bowl. She watched the annual nominations and award ceremony religiously for decades. So in January 2015, she tuned in as usual to see Chris Pine and Cheryl Boone Isaacs, the first Black female president of the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, announced that year's nominees. And after noticing that not one of the 20 acting nominations included a person of color, she took to Twitter to give the Academy Awards a piece of her mind. Hashtag Oscars So White. They asked to touch my hair. My gosh. How well did they do this year, April?
I mean, they were alabaster again. It was, you know what I mean? It was cream. It was bone. It was, I've run out. It was broth. How about that? It was chicken broth. I've run out of words at this point because again, we don't see enough people from under-resourced and communities up on that stage to receive awards. The Academy likes to trot out Black and brown and openly queer folks to present awards in various categories, but not necessarily to win them.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that yesterday. I watched it yesterday with a group of friends here in DC, and I thought, what if Queen Latifah didn't perform that Wiz number as a salute to Quincy Jones after having been introduced by Oprah Winfrey and Whoopi Goldberg? What if Cynthia Erivo didn't open the show with that incredible number, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, the incredible number from Wicked? What if a lot of those performances didn't happen and a lot of those presenters of color didn't show up? It would be a fundamentally different show, no?
It absolutely would. And there's a viral clip of Coleman Domingo, taking one to the head a little bit and dancing during the commercial break to Frankie Beverly and Maze. And he's got everybody out of their seats. And, I've had the privilege of attending the Oscars once. And it's a long, long day. So having folks, relax a little bit and enjoy themselves, that's exactly what you want. But to your point, everybody likes to steal our culture, but, they don't want to talk about our pain, and our purpose and what it took to get there. So yes, it absolutely would be a completely different show. It would look a lot more like when Hattie McDaniel won and she had to sit in the back near the kitchen, as opposed to sitting with her cast of Gone with the Wind.
It's a very vivid description that you have there. But let's talk a little bit about what has changed in the environment. As Rolling Stone notes, in the wake of the public backlash, the Academy took action. This is back in 2015. The organization, which is made up of more than 9,600 voting members from across the entertainment industry, including casting directors, visual effect artists, the whole shebang. They have since doubled the number of women and tripled voters of color in its membership. And in 2020, they announced a new diversity standard for Best Picture eligibility, among so many other changes. have these changes been enough? Have they been too little, or are they too little, too late?
It's definitely too little, too late. You know, you're right. The Academy doubled the number of people of color and tripled the number of doubled the number of women and tripled the number of people of color within their membership ranks. And it is still overwhelmingly white and overwhelmingly male. So beyond 50% with respect to both gender and race, right? And so what does that tell you? How did it look, 11 years ago before Oscar So White? It was even worse than where it is now. The point is a little sort of inside baseball for your listeners and watchers. There are two actual votes. So the first vote is people have to vote within their category. So directors vote for directors, actors vote for actors, and so on. And then that's how they get to the nominees. And then everybody can vote for all of the categories for nominees, right? So when you think about the fact that I am rusty at this point because I have moved beyond and I don't care as much as I did 10 years ago. But let's say that there are a total of 5 women who have ever won for Best Director, and 5 may be generous. That means that of all of the dozens and dozens of women, of directors in that directing category who are looking at films through their lens, right? And that's the whole point. What is the cultural competency? When people are looking through their particular lens, and if there's only one lens in the room, then you're only going to get one or a very limited number of points of view. And that's the concern here. I'm not saying, Oscars need to be black as hell, excuse my language, or anything, or queer, or, queer AF, like the show, or anything like that. What I'm saying is that every single time that there is a vote on what is the best in the country over the previous year, we should be talking from diverse viewpoints. We should get everybody's viewpoint into the mix as we are making those decisions.
I mean, point taken. I mean, I think there are a lot of folks out there that see the Academy Award as the gold standard. It's the gold standard in the industry. When folks are fighting for their rate, for example, right? Whether you have or don't have an Academy Award, it makes a difference, right? If you're Academy Award nominated, that makes a difference, right? And so, sometimes I think people who may be less familiar are a little bit more dismissive of sort of the awards and recognition. And they think that it's really more about vanity. But no. It's also about people's money. It's also about economic security. It's also about the ability to be able to invest in diverse stories, right? Because you better believe the accountants are paying attention. The people who run the numbers are paying attention, as to which movies perform well and with whom. And, all of this is being taken into account when it comes to green lighting other projects, or at least that's what we're made to believe.
That's exactly right. And it's a balancing act. Like you listen to Halle Berry say, she won her Academy Award, one of the only few Black women who won for Best Actress or Best Supporting Actress, and she still has to fight to get work. Right. And so in that case, it isn't as meaningful as one would think. On the other hand, something like Everything Everywhere All at Once doesn't happen if there isn't a Parasite, if there isn't a Minari, right? Because those ceilings with respect to AAPI actors and films need to be broken as well. And so, yes, it's absolutely about the money. It's definitely about the money for the studios. That's why the studios go all in on promoting. Here in Los Angeles, you can't walk down the street without seeing a dozen different billboards that say FYC for your consideration, right? Because they are trying to promote whatever it is, their TV show or their film, because a win means more money for that studio, means that producers and other investors are going to say, oh, okay, A24 or MGM or whoever it is knows what they're doing. Let's give them money to make more movies.
I mean, remember, it's show business, right?
Right.
And I think we're all clear on what the show part is, right? But I think sometimes the business part is a little fuzzy for folks, even when it comes to Oscar campaigns, to your point. And there are a lot of people that are oriented to political campaigns, people running for president, running for Congress, running for mayor, running for this, that, or whatever. But there are also campaigns that people launch, that studios launch when it comes to getting this Oscar. There's a lot of folks that are invested in getting this gold statue. In your Rolling Stone piece, you say, given the long history of racism in Hollywood, the industry shouldn't be patting itself on the back for an isolated breakthrough award for a filmmaker or a star of color. You went on to say the Academy is bumping up against 100 years. And that's just when they started celebrating themselves. There's more than 100 years of film. And so we shouldn't still be talking about the first or the second person to win.
That's exactly right. And Paul Tazewell, to his credit, is the first Black man to win for costume design in, again, almost 100 years of history of the Oscars. Why are we still talking about first or second anything in 2025? There's, because again, it's not because there is a lack of talent. There's been a lack of spotlight on these very talented people. If we're talking in front of the camera with actors and actresses, we can talk about Coleman Domingo and Sing Sing. Or if we're talking behind the camera with respect to women directors or cinematographers or editors or even animation, when we think about Matthew Cherry and Hair Love and things like that.
When we come forward, we want to get your hot take on yesterday's Oscars, some of the winners and some of the moments that we will never forget or perhaps should never forget. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with April Rain when we come forward. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're looking to be engaged, enlightened, and empowered about issues related to national politics, elections, identity, culture change, and social justice, you tuned into the right place. A More Perfect Union continues when we come forward.
I'm Tyreek Wynn with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Pope Francis has taken another turn. In an afternoon update, the Vatican said the Pope suffered 2 episodes of acute respiratory failure. He is receiving ventilation. Francis has been in the hospital due to bronchitis and pneumonia. There are about 3 million African-American Catholics in the U.S. Forecasters are predicting a large storm system will bring blizzard conditions and possible tornadoes to much of the U.S. this week. President Trump's tariffs on Mexico and Canada will officially go into effect Tuesday. Last week in a Truth Social post, President Trump said illegal drugs continue to pour across the border in what he called very high and unacceptable levels, despite pledges from both neighbors to boost security. Over 1.5 million Black people live in Canada. On Sunday at the Oscars, Paul Tazewell became the first Black man to win Best Costume Design. I'm Tyreek Wynn on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
It's tough on the 605. We'll start on the northbound side where a car fire, it appears to have been extinguished right before Telegraph Road. And that's where all lanes have been off limits as a result. Highway Patrol said we're going to try to get everything cleared off to the right shoulder. But until then, that drive is a huge mess getting away from the 91 freeway. And the southbound side of the 605, well, there was a crash coming up on Washington. It has been cleared out of lanes. But that's keeping the drive slow moving all the way from Peck Road. That and all of the action on the northbound side causing a lot of looky-loo slowing. It's also affecting travel on the 105 eastbound, which is just stopped away from the 710 freeway.
You asked for it. 9 new dates added. You won't want to miss. For the Record presents Tarantino Pulp Rock, the immersive live experience that will blow you away. Come kill it with us. Ends April 6th, only at the Cinevita next to SoFi Stadium. Get your tickets now.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers' winning streak is now at 6. Last night's 108-102 win over the Clippers at Crypto.com moved the Lakers into second place in the Western Conference. Oklahoma City is on top in the West, 10 games ahead of the surging Lakers. The Lakers' 18-4 record is the best in the NBA over the past 6 weeks. Luka Doncic led the Lakers last night with 29 points and 9 assists. Rookie forward Dalton Knecht dropped 19 off the bench. The Lakers are back in action Tuesday night against New Orleans. The Clippers are at Phoenix on Tuesday. R&B singer Angie Stone was on her way to perform at the KBLA Men's Basketball Championship game Saturday night in Baltimore. Stone died early Saturday morning in a car crash outside of Montgomery, Alabama. The KBLA is made up of HBCU schools. Virginia State defeated Bluefield State 71-64 to earn the automatic bid to the NCAA Division II tournament. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to announce that, like George and Weezy,
Well, we're moving on now.
earlier this year, we were named as semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Wait for it. Wait for it.
You ready?
KBLA Talk 1580 was recently selected as one of 10 finalists being considered for this prestigious award. Hundreds of organizations, institutions, and even cities were nominated in the selection process. But KBLA Talk 1580 has made it to the finals. You're invited to watch live on Wednesday, April 16th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Central, as Eco America announces the winner and the runner-up, awarding over $200,000 in prize money. To watch live, just go to ecoamerica.org to register and attend the online ceremony. That's ecoamerica.org. Don't miss the presentation of the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025, Wednesday, April 16th, and wish us luck. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
Looking for a smart way to grow your savings and support your community? City First Bank's 3-month mission-driven CD offers 4% APY, giving you a strong return while backing businesses and communities that need it most. You will earn more and make a difference. Grow your money with purpose. Open your 3-month CD today by visiting cityfirstbank.com or visiting your local branch. City First Bank, banking with purpose, investing in community. Member FDIC, rates subject to change, terms apply. Visit cityfirstbank.com for details.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me.
National news of consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai, and she is April Rain. She is the creator of the Oscar So White movement. She is a senior advisor to the Spill app, and she's also just a good old media futurist. Right? You know,
like that?
What I love so much about it, and I've been saying this a lot lately, given the transition in power, we can feed the fear or feed our imagination. Feed the fear or feed the imagination of the people, right? And so when, I hear people talking about you as a media futurist, I'm like, okay, she on her job, feeding the imagination.
I appreciate that. And I think your quote is a good one. What I am leaning into now, because everyone says DEI is dead, long live DEI, which I don't believe. I think it is, I listen to these people who call themselves free thinkers. We want to have freedom of thought. We want to have, well, isn't that diversity? Like, don't you want to hear from everybody, or is it only free, when it aligns with what you believe? So what I have started to say is that what we need to do is tell comprehensive stories. tell comprehensive American history. And that American history should include the history of enslavement of Africans and African Americans in this country. And so when you say, I believe in comprehensive American history, and someone says, no, then what does that mean? You only want to tell half the story, and then they have to explain and justify what they mean.
I mean, I think you're so right. I think a lot of people want to start the clock wherever the conversation is most convenient for them, right? And, oftentimes they wipe out. Sometimes they whitewash, whole swaths of history, right? And, it's important that we understand the context in which we exist, in which, our parents and grandparents and ancestors existed. What's that famous quote that the history that we turn a blind eye to is the history that we are destined to repeat, something of the sort. And so on your watch, you have been determined to feed the imagination in terms of what can be when it comes to the practice of diversity, equity, and inclusion. This ain't no academic exercise. This is the practice of it. And I know one of the issues that you've been very outspoken about and is written about in this Rolling Stone piece is examining the new inclusion standards for Best Picture eligibility. Number of folks saying it exposes flaws. Other folks thinking that, this is as good as it's been and this is as good as it's going to get. What say you?
The loopholes with respect to these inclusion initiatives for the Best Picture category, and that's the only category that the Academy touched, are big enough to drive a truck through. So a film, as I say in the article, a film like Gone with the Wind, which did not paint Africans and African Americans in their best light, would still qualify. The biggest group of people who benefited from affirmative action and DEI initiatives were white women. And so what the Academy is doing in part is saying, well, if there's a woman lead, then that's fine, right? And then that satisfies some of their rubric. And it needs to go further. The Academy has the opportunity, goodness knows they have the money, and they have the talent to do so much more than they do. I think about the fact that you mentioned from the Rolling Stone article, there's already 9,500 members in the Academy. If each member of the Academy committed to just 1 hour a year of teaching kids and young people, inexperienced people about the craft of filmmaking, think of the change that could make. Because unless you live in LA or New York or sometimes Atlanta, you're not being served by this community. When Oscars So White first happened, one of the things that the Academy suggested and then quickly rolled back was sort of grandfathering the more senior members of the Academy who were no longer active in the film industry. It's like, well, if you haven't, if you won your Oscar in 1970 and you haven't really worked in it since, should you still get a full vote in 2020, with respect to the Oscars when you probably haven't even seen the films? And my thought was, tell them to get back on set. Imagine there's a reason why they won, right? And so why can't they use their talent, their knowledge to sort of mentor the younger generations that are coming up behind them? They get paid. That helps them to keep their SAG card, helps them to keep their insurance, especially as they get older. And the younger folks get to the benefit of their wisdom.
And you're not the only one who's taken issue with this this inclusion standard when it comes to Best Picture eligibility. Stacey Smith, the founder of the Annenberg Inclusion Initiative, which uses research and advocacy to encourage equitable changes in Hollywood, says that the guidelines are simply too easy to meet. Quotes, if 90 out of the 100 films already pass, that's not a standard. That's like the student taking a class and just passing without really doing anything
or learning anything. I think that's exactly right. And so what the Academy has done for the last 10 years feels like window dressing on a condemned house. It looks pretty from the outside, but there's no real structural change or improvement that needs to happen. And we can also talk about the lack of people of color within the Academy making these changes now, because several Black and brown folks have left the Academy in the last few years. So if they're serious about whatever initiatives they're going to put into place, who's going to do it?
That's a good point. On another note, what were some of the brightest moments from yesterday's Oscars? I know I have a few, but what were some of your top moments?
I don't have them anymore because the whole thing I'm tired of it. Yeah. I am very thankful that Paul Tazwell, as I mentioned, won for best costume design. I think Coleman was dressed flawlessly. Coleman Domingo, who was nominated for Sing Sing, but Adrian Brody, and a lot of my favorite moments now are happening not during the actual telecast. Like Adrian Brody famously kissed Halle Berry on stage decades ago when she won, and so she was able to get him back on the red carpet last night and give him an unsolicited kiss, and then he went on to win the award. So I'm wondering, maybe Holly is a good luck charm. Who knows?
Well, she was certainly stunning. She was stunning.
Absolutely. And Christian Siriano dressed her, which I thought was beautiful because he mentioned he had wanted to dress her for years and years. And I love hearing that. Cynthia Erivo has an amazing voice, so I was happy to hear her sing. But, what were your highlights?
Well, I thought it seemed to me like the Oscars was almost going out of its way to not step in anything political, right?
As always.
At one point, I think Conan Bryan had said, no political jokes, right? And of course, he couldn't help himself at some point. But I think one of the more overtly political speeches was the win for Best Documentary, No Other Land.
Yes. The Israeli-Palestinian film. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was a reminder to me that we rarely see the voices of Palestinians and Israelis on stage together, working together, to tell a story that reflects, dignity for the Palestinian people, and also the dignity and safety of the Israeli people, right? And really summoning leaders in government to do more, to do better, right? This idea that there are these binary sets of choices that we report on so often in the news, that there is another way. There is another way. And so I thought that was refreshing. I wasn't expecting to hear that or to see that, but I thought that was refreshing. I agree with you. Cynthia Erivo, if you hear her voice, I mean, little tiny petite lady, belting that out. Oh my goodness. She blessed us all. It's always a good day to remember the life and legacy of Quincy Jones.
Absolutely.
I thought I was surprised that the performance wasn't as robust as I thought it could be, given Quincy Jones' body of work. I mean, I think he's given people a lot of material to work with.
Yeah, I mean, over 50 years. And yet there's like a 7-8 minute tribute to the James Bond franchise, and there's no James Bond film that it's referencing. So choices were made. They were not mine.
Yeah, I thought that was a little bit weird. And then Mickey winning the Best Actress for the film about the sex workers, Honora.
Yep. That film won, I think, 5 of the 6 categories it was nominated in. Absolutely. Yeah.
I thought that was great. I mean, I think it's great that sex workers are being seen and recognized, being celebrated this way.
The end of the Rolling Stone article, I say what's most important, the most important questions that we need to be asking are, who is telling the story and whose story is being told? And that story, Honora, was told by a white man. And again, wouldn't it have been interesting to get the cultural context to hear from a woman, as writer, as director, and so on. So, kudos to the film. Wouldn't it have been interesting if it was more like a documentary, right, as opposed to something very serialized? So, I'm always going to be a critic, I think, but I think it's helpful for us to interrogate why things win, and how even when they do win, they could have been done better.
We're gonna have to leave it there. My thanks to April Rain for joining us the day after the Academy Awards to offer your hot take. I encourage folks to check out this Rolling Stone article, really cool article entitled "A Decade After Oscars So White, Can Hollywood Do Better?" Take a read, and you all decide if you think Hollywood can do better. And for the people working in Hollywood, if you agree, then onward to make it do better. How about that? Our thanks to April Rain. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. The quiet part out loud when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Looking for a purposeful and passionate way to make a difference in your community? Volunteer with our Senior Medicare Patrol and help prevent Medicare fraud. S&P volunteers work in their community, educating peers about healthcare fraud and how to prevent and detect it. Free training starts soon. Check us out online or at an S&P open house near you. We're on a mission to stop fraud. Join our team. You make a difference. Visit caspvolunteer.org. Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you, when we fight, we win. The Youth Justice Coalition is challenging America's addiction to incarceration and discrimination. YJC works to dismantle policies leading to mass incarceration, law enforcement violence, and the school-to-prison pipeline. Their approach? Transformative justice, community intervention, free LA high school, legal defense, and system monitoring. YJC promotes safety without relying on prisons. Their goal? Prevent system contact and help people exit the system through direct action, advocacy, and education. Want to get involved or need help? Call 323-235-4243. That's 323-235-4243. Join YJC in creating change. When we fight, we win. KBLA Talk 1580, your voice for justice. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, tastemakers, and you working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are streaming and listening to a More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. It is about time for the quiet part out loud. And I saw this headline and I had to share it with you. And I'm wondering how many of you are fans of quiet quitting versus quiet revenge. This is actually a real thing. Fortune.com is reporting that farewell to quiet quitting. 2025 could be the year of revenge quitting. You see, quiet quitting might be fading, but revenge quitting is ready to take its place. A growing number of employees are angry about their low salaries, their lack of raises, and few advancement opportunities that are given into, and it's translating into pent-up resentment and walking off the job. You see, the days of engaged employees quietly scaling back their efforts at work are over. These days, they're more likely to vent their frustrations as they walk out the door. And so they're saying goodbye to quiet quitting. The trend to watch in 2025 again is revenge quitting. A survey from Software Finder reports a growing number of workers are frustrated by factors ranging from their low salaries to repeatedly being passed up over their raises and lack of opportunity. Some 4% of all full-time employees are planning to revenge quit this year. That's what the study found. With most having given the idea some thought for the past 13 months, hybrid workers are the most likely to make the move, with 7% planning to revenge quit in 2025. So this ain't related to the election. This ain't related to the cost of eggs and bacon and gas. This is something else. Workers in the marketing and advertising, IT and tech, and media and entertainment fields are most likely to revenge quit. While the number of people revenge quitting is a fraction of the overall workforce, the survey found that 93% of full-time employees were frustrated with their current role, and the reasons were largely the same as those who do plan to walk off the job. 48%, again, they cited low salary and lack of raises. 34% so that they were feeling undervalued. And 33% saw no prospects of career growth. The potential hurdle for some workers considering revenge quitting, though, is this growing uncertainty about the economy as the Trump administration threatens trade wars and the nation's unemployment rate stands at 4.1%. The number of job seekers who've been without work for 27 weeks or more was up by 278,000 in December, accounting for a little over 22% of all unemployed people that month. And so people have been thinking about this for the past 13 months, but some of the recent moves by the Trump administration is apparently giving people a little bit of pause. It's creating a little bit of uncertainty around the economy, particularly related to these trade wars and unemployment. And so if you are a boss out there, if you're a supervisor out there, remember, people don't quit their jobs as much as they quit their bosses. And if there's anything that you can do to create a little bit more certainty in your workplace, anything you can do just to be kind, anything you can do just to support the professional development of your colleagues, even if there's not a position that's open for them to be promoted to, every little bit helps. Every little bit helps. We spend a big chunk of our day working. And at the very least, we want to be respected. We want to feel as if we matter at the workplace. We want our contributions recognized, right? And we want a chance to grow. And so whatever you can do, supervisors out there, whatever you can do, executives out there, to create the kind of culture that allows for folks to be able to do at least that much, I think every little bit helps. Employee resource groups still matter. Business resource groups still matter. I actually used to lead an employee resource group in my life before I came back to journalism. And a lot of the things that are mentioned in this article track. Do they track for you? They certainly track for me. And surely the easiest way to get rid of anybody is just to make them feel uncomfortable. And so why don't we do away with that? We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to the entire village helps us produce a more perfect union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Andy, our show producers, Kim and Faraji, and Art. And to you, all of our leaders, learners, and listeners, thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember, don't panic, organize. Do what you can from where you are with what you have. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Corte. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
Illegal drugs continue to pour across the border in what he called very high and unacceptable levels, despite pledges from both neighbors to